Welcome to the last episode of THS Up All Night because we have changed the name. So actually, the last episode was the last time. Whatever. I need to make a new intro. I'll get to that at some point in the near future. Tonight we are going to do three movies because let's face it, we've got bigger fish to fry. Actually, we don't. Elm Street is one of the bigger fishes in horror history. So, but we've got other things that we want to try to squeeze in. So we're going to change things up a little bit moving forward. And probably when we get down to it, we're going to cover two movies at a time rather than a single movie. Because I've noticed, and I think Seth has noticed too, we get off on weird little tangents. I actually rewatched a couple episodes recently, and I'm like, boy, after we reveal our scores, we talk for about a half an hour about almost nothing, So we're gonna do that. And tonight we're if you didn't see, we've got Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Freddy versus Jason, and A Nightmare on Elm Street 2010. And this will be our final episode for the Elm Street saga. And next Wednesday, as we are now on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. ish. I say ish because I was late today. But we are going to be doing this show, which is now called Horror Movie Massacre with Razor and Sequel Seth. And we'll be doing this show every Wednesday at about 8 ish, somewhere around there. And then the Horror Syndicate Discourse for you, Discourse followers, we will be back with the Discourse show, the big show, main show, on Sunday, June 4th, with a little movie called The Neon Demon. So yeah, let's get into this. Let's bring Seth in because he's itching. He's itching like he's got some fucking roaches on him or whatever it is from Hellraiser 2. Seth, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Well, I'm good, especially since I saw we've hit another level of followers on Facebook. We're over 34,000 now,
Nice.
and we've hit, I think, was it 1,280 subscribers? So you should be one of those subscribers, right? Or not you, because I think you already probably have, but
Yeah.
the gentle viewers out there. And if you're watching on Facebook, same thing. Hit the like button. Follow us if you don't already. If you hit the like, it helps us a lot. Right, Seth? Yes. Hey, exactly. Thumbs up. Freddy versus Jason. Jason won. Well, I don't know. I don't think there was a clear cut winner. We'll get to that. First, we're going to we're going to delve into New Nightmare a little bit. We don't need to go deep into this one. We just did a Wes Craven's New Nightmare episode on the Horror Syndicate Discourse. So we'll talk about how we feel about the movie a little bit, give our scores, and move along to Freddy vs. Jason, which we will get into, and we will get into the remake a little bit. The most hated horror remake of all time. I think you're right about that. I don't think there's any more. And you know what? I'm gonna ask that question to our faithful followers on the Horror Syndicate. See, what do you think is the most hated horror remake of all time? I think you're right. What do you think?
Yeah. I think so. I have a hard time thinking of another one that's not that's yeah. I mean, this one just gets a whole lot of hate.
Yeah, it really does. I think Halloween does gets a little bit, but it's got a really kind of strong fan base. Friday the 13th, it's got some hate, but I mean, Amityville Horror sucks, but I don't think it gets hated on. Dawn of the Dead wasn't bad. Hills Have Eyes is great. I
No one
mean,
I absolutely hate is the Cabin Fever remake.
I still haven't seen that one.
Ugh, trash, man. It's a dumpster fire.
Okay, so I'm putting it on there. If you go to the Horror Syndicate on Facebook, you can answer the question: what is the most hated horror remake of all time? Um, I it's no question to me. Name it in the comments, and we'll get into why we think it's hated. But first, let's just do a quick recap on Freddy. New Nightmare. Go ahead. You start because we both love the movie for the most part. Um, what are your quick thoughts on this one before we get to our scores? I gotta run out of the room for a second.
Yeah, it's I've always enjoyed Wes Craven's New Nightmare. For a long time, it was my favorite sequel because especially around the time I first watched it, I did dig the meta thing. Um, Not so much anymore. But I think it's a really good movie, and I think one of my favorite things about it is, I mean, even though it's technically not Freddy, it's like a demon taking Freddy's form. Um, I do like bring like how Wes Craven brought back the dark um, Freddy character again, because especially after five and Freddy's dead, really he just became a clown. So I
Clown
like
shoes.
yeah. So I like the kind of return to the dark Freddy, even though again technically it's not actually Freddy.
Mm.
Uh, but I think it's a good movie. It's not. I don't rewatch it as much anymore. But when I do enjoy it. I'm mixed on the score for it. There's times where it's really
Mm.
good. There's times where it's kind of weak. Um,
There's one part in the score that really gets me, and I think we talked about that on the other show. When he returns.
Good job, dummy.
All right, what are you, composer? Is that what that was?
My daughter comes down and she's waving to me, and
Yeah.
she's like doing all this crazy, and then she hits her hands off the.
Excuse me.
All right. Good night. I love you.
Love you too.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, you can
Bye.
hear the love. You can hear the love, and thank you for Seth's daughter for coming in for the moment. Uh, but there's a certain parts of the score I agree. Like when he comes, reappears, and then of course that part where everything starts to transfer from reality to the Elm Street world, which is really cool.
Yeah. I love that moment. You talking about that specific scene between Heather and John outside
Yes,
the house. Yeah, it's
absolutely, yes.
such a cool moment. Like
It
the
is.
build up to Freddy coming out of the sheets with the
I
music. Like
love
the
that.
score
That's
is
probably the
great.
best scene in the movie. Period.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. Oh,
whole thing. Yeah.
yeah, totally. The only issue I have with it now is I don't know if it's like this for you, but it's like the sound is really loud. It's like when the characters talk, I have to like kind of like turn it up, but like when it gets to the sound
Oh,
effect stuff, it's
like
just
a
like
Christopher Nolan movie.
yeah, pretty much.
Wes Nolan,
Yeah.
Christopher Craven. I may use those two names in comics in a comic story or something. Those aren't bad. Yeah, no, I think I noticed that last time I was watching it because I have the sound bar, and when you watch it without some the enhanced sound system or whatever, it sounds okay. But yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, what? And I thought same thing. Chris Nolan movies, The Dark Knight, you can barely hear what anybody's saying, but the music comes in. Or even in what's that one that everybody thinks is a great movie, just because they don't understand it. Um, Inception. That's my theory, by the way. People love that movie because they don't understand it. They're like, "Oh, it's brilliant! It's brilliant because you're a dumbass." So yeah, I like this one too. It took me a while to warm up to it, and I do like it quite a bit. It probably is in the middle of the road for me for Elm Street. Um, what else? Is there anything else you want to say before we do our scores?
No, not really, because we did cover this fairly recently.
Yeah, for a good 90 minutes. So you can
Yeah.
find that on our YouTube channel, and you'd have to go through it, but it's on Facebook as well. Ah, yes. My son made me a PB and J. Mm, okay. Do you like grape jelly or strawberry jelly?
Strawberry. Can I say it's my jam?
Sure. All right. All right, Seth, here's your score.
Yeah, 81%. It's a well made movie. It's a well written movie. Yeah, I think it's really strong in the series. I think that's like my number. Was it my number
Four, I
four?
think. Yeah.
Yeah, on my list.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think 81's a very good score for it. It's not exactly perfect in a lot of ways, especially with the actual score to it itself.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's a really cool movie. I dig it.
Yeah. Not to mention, I'm not a huge fan of the new glove, and
Yeah,
I don't particularly like his look in this one. The thing that I like is Langkamp's performance, Donald Donald Saxon, John Saxon's performance. He was really good. And
yeah,
then you get to see Bob Shea, Wes Craven, Robert Englund, Tuesday Night.
yeah,
A few characters from the movies. I have a very close score, 80%. It's I don't think it feels like without I didn't even look at yours before I did mine. I think I did my scores before you would put yours out. But yeah, it's a solid movie, and I think that's a B score. It's
hmm
not as good as the original movie. It's not as bad as the last couple. It's solid. It's good,
yeah,
and I agree with what you said. It's not one I watch very often, but when I do enjoy it for the most part.
yeah.
So that brings our scores to 81% overall. Pretty easy. Sorry, I just finished my sandwich. And the Horse Syndicate community score is 84%, which I will reveal that on the Facebook page shortly. Um, I wanted to say this one did well as far as, yeah. So we had over 7,000 people rate this one. And
Oh
it
wow.
had, yeah, it had 57% 5-star ratings. So that's pretty good
Yeah,
overall. Um, yeah, I think this one's very well respected among the community. So, very cool. So anyway,
yep,
that's all we're gonna do for New Nightmare. Again, if you go to our Horror Syndicate YouTube channel, we have all of our old episodes. You can watch our discourse episode on New Nightmare, where you get a scene breakdown by Nathan Thomas Milliner. You get some tidbits from Jared. I don't know if you had your segment yet in that episode, but it was a good episode. So check that out, and we'll move on to Freddy versus Jason now. Um, I didn't put individual images up. I just have this. So we're doing the middle one. By the way, these colors on this look really great. The ones I found, I think it
yeah.
looks really cool.
Looks very themed.
Yes, it does. Too bad Jason's not on the left hand side, because it would have been blue to red. Anyway, Freddy versus Jason came out in '03, and as an Elm Street fan, I mean, as a Friday the 13th fan, this is something we'd been waiting for since the '80s. For some reason, I mean, all of us knew that Freddy and Jason belonged in the same movie at some point, like all the way back then. I don't know about you, but me and my friends, I had a Freddy glove, and a friend of mine had a Jason mask, and we were always playing Freddy and Jason. We were like 8, 9 years old, and we tried to find somebody to be Michael Myers, but that we couldn't find a Michael Myers mask. So that was harder to come by. Still is kind of. But yeah, I mean, this is something that we as fans always wanted. There's a lot of daydreaming that went into this for me, and I would assume the same for you. I know Milliner did this great piece of art called Jason versus Freddy, and coming summer of '89, which is probably would have been better than Jason Takes Manhattan and Dream Child, in my opinion. Plus, we would probably have gotten England versus Hotter, which is what everybody wanted, because in the end we didn't get that. Let's do our initial reactions when we saw the movie, because as the way I feel about it now is way different than I did coming out of the theater. Personally, I was stoked going in their opening night, first showing I could get my hands on, which I think was the first showing, and I came out the same way I came out of Attack of the Clones, my jaw on the ground, like holy shit, that was amazing. Yeah, Freddy versus Jason. Let me ask. You had to be in the same boat at that point. You were younger than me, so you were about 20 when that came out.
Yeah. I was super stoked for it. When I went to go see it, I went opening night, loved it. I saw it like 2 or 3 more times like that weekend. I was very hyped for it. It was great because it was like my first Freddy movie on the big screen. I previously saw, of course, Jason X on the big screen before this, but so that kind of sucks. But I mean, it was cool. It was definitely cool seeing it on the big screen when it first came out, and I was just so hyped for it. It's like you mentioned too, like it's something that a lot of people wanted, especially back then. I look at it now, like I don't know so much anymore. Well, I mean, the idea of Freddy even lasting in some sort of confrontation with Jason is just
laughable.
It's laughable at best, and it's just
okay.
like,
Let me ask you this. Let me play devil's advocate on that, because I feel the same way. Dream World, it's different, right? I'm glad that they explored fights in both worlds. And this is a question that I've seen posed by many, and I may pose it on the Horror Syndicate just for shits and grins. Or as my mom said, giggles, shits and giggles. But what about who would win, Michael or Jason? Michael Myers or Jason? And I will judge your answer.
Oh, I know you will. I think Jason has the advantage of just being more of a brute, where Michael is more methodical, I guess. Typically speaking, not in all the Halloween movies, but he's a little bit more stealthy. He's more observant before he strikes, whereas Jason will just strike.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Michael will get the jump on him, the element of surprise here and there, but I don't know, probably Jason would. But who knows? I mean, Jason got beat by 10-year-old Corey Feldman, so
yeah, that was before Jason became a zombie. Yeah, I don't like I've seen fan films and stuff like that, and most fans seem to like Michael Myers better and think Michael Myers could beat Jason. I don't want to get into this whole thing, but I don't think it's even possible. I think with Jason could squeeze the life out of Michael, just grab him and squeeze the shit out of him and be done with it.
Yeah.
Jason's got more brute strength than Michael Myers.
Well, I tell you what though, like I saw this fan film. It wasn't like too awful, but like it was kind of long, but like it got really redundant really fast.
Yeah, I think I probably saw the same one. It was in the woods, and an unlikely meeting. I don't know. It's a weird question, but yeah, that's the one thing I will say about this movie in particular is it does give you a little bit of a balance, and you do see Freddy, like everything he does is it's barely like close quarters fighting in this movie.
Yeah.
It's like, you remember that scene where he's just shooting off all those CO2 tanks or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Hey, mama's boy, or hey, asshole. He should have said mama's boy.
Yeah.
But the fight is probably the thing that we all were waiting for, the fights. And again, I'm glad we did get 2 kind of, for the most part. The whole bullshit with the water. Oh my God, there's already 83 comments on the most hated horror remake. There's already 83 comments and 2 shares. Yeah, people like that shit. People love to hate, you know. It's true. People just love to hate. So, I don't know. There's a lot I like about this movie, and I think it's because we talked about it, but there's so much more I hate about it. But we talked about how it's much more of an Elm Street film and feeling and tone versus Friday the 13th, which is probably the better way to go because overall, and no offense to the Friday the 13th movies ever, of course I love them, but they were the same thing over and over essentially, you know. And I think going kind of an Elm Street route, getting to see some more nightmare stuff, and of course we got it made more sense because Robert and Freddy have more personality and charisma than than Jason, you know. So let's talk about things that we do like about this one. After you tell me what you're about to say.
Uh, we can get it. I guess we can get into it when we get into the things we don't like. I'll mention it then.
Okay. Well, I want to go with things we do like because the list is very small for me. Um, as you'll see by my score, I'm not. This movie just didn't age well. I mean, straight up and down, it did not age well. I think they poor choice in director. Anyway, the things I liked, I did like Robert Englund's makeup. I'll start there. I did like the opening thing with him talking about, you know, like getting to know Freddy. Essentially, it's like his Tinder profile at the beginning of the movie. I thought that was kind of cool, and you get to see Robert without the makeup on, which was really cool. Licking the back of photographs like a creep. Um, yeah, so those are some of the things I liked. I mean, the characters were insufferable. Almost every single one of them were. You know, between Monica Keene, I can't remember their own names, but Monica Keena's character, Lori, I think it was Lori, wasn't it?
Lori. Yep.
Her friend Kelly Rowland, the Beyonce sister, she was the worst. I did like the scene, even though it was CG, where he rips her, got your nose. You know, I like that. But like, I didn't like any of these characters. And then the cop is like, he's like in that time period, that actor was like the C-list actor to get in any movie. You know,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And so it's like when he popped up, I was like, oh shit. You know, like as soon as I saw him, I was like, this is like a straight to video movie at best. And I don't know. There wasn't real. I hated, the opening with Lori and her friends in 1428. But there's not much for me to like about this movie at all. I mean, at all. That's it. I think that's it. So let's hear what you like because I'm going to annihilate this movie.
So, like you, I like the makeup effects for Freddy. Um, I like Robert's performance as Freddy. Um, I like
Which is a good thing because even in the bad movies, he's great.
yeah,
So
yeah, and like it felt a little bit closer to Elm Street than say even 5 and 6 did.
yeah.
I thought the cinematography was actually pretty good for the most part. It looked good, and I liked the score for it. Um, I think the final fight is entertaining. I still enjoy it. Um, but yeah, obviously the characters are not.
And you have to follow these people around the whole movie.
Yeah, and like it's and you basically give the Laurie character the Sidney Prescott kind of like backstory,
Mm-hmm.
and it was still like one of those still trying to have that Scream kind of like flavor to it. Yeah, but I mean that's about it. I mean you're right; it has not aged well.
No, it's aged extremely poorly. It's a product of maybe even before its time. By the way, just for anybody who's wondering, we are going to be doing our ranking show for the Friday the 13th films next Wednesday at 8. And we'll probably do that for about a half hour, 45 minutes. And then at 9, and that's 8 Central. And 9 Central, we'll do the Elm Street rankings. But I do want to give you guys a spoiler. Seth has this as his number 4 movie of the Friday the 13th movies. based on
No.
this rating. I had to throw that out there.
I need
Yeah,
to make
so
some changes, okay?
there's one more thing I wanted to add to the and they also took this one of the most important lines out, if I remember correctly. That you get Jason and Freddy in the burning cabin, and it's just like this that looked really cool, And then in the trailer, what's her name says "place your bets" or something like that.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
wasn't in there in the movie. Like, why would
yeah.
you take that out? But yeah, as far as the things I don't like, you go first, because I'm gonna tear this movie a new asshole.
Uh, basically, the characters are just, especially, I think the worst one is the J ripoff.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it was just like so bad that they were like, it's like if you wanted Jason Mewes, just cast Jason Mewes.
Well, one of the best parts was in one of the documentaries. He Jason Mewes is in it, talking about his role in Freddy vs. Jason. Like, wait, I wasn't in that movie.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember that. It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the dialogue is really bad in this movie. Even
Awful.
for like Friday the 13th standards. Especially with that scene with Laurie and her friends at the house in the beginning. Just the interaction between them was, I mean,
Babe, I told you not to kiss me when you're smoking, or whatever. Yeah, that guy needed to die immediately.
Yeah. And then another thing I didn't like is the portrayal of Jason.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It goes, I think, back to the director, but also to the producers and the people at the studio who approved everything. This decision to make Jason the Frankenstein monster, where he's really loud when he walks, dumb. In the whole thing where like they said that they wanted to like make him like sympathetic. It's like, why don't you make your main characters sympathetic? Make the human characters sympathetic, and put them between two monsters. One that can get you in your dreams, the other that can get you in real life and fuck you up.
Yep.
So I mean, I'm not even a big Kane Hodder fan, but I would have preferred if Kane Hodder was in this movie. I think Kane deserved to be in this movie, and I know that's not how Hollywood works. It doesn't work by.
But he's even like they said, he's not big enough to be Jason against Robert. It's like, you kidding me? He's like 6'4". Robert's like 6 foot, if that.
Yeah, and I mean, not to mention movie magic. I mean, you can make it. You can make it happen. That's just a lame excuse. But I felt like if they had like a Kane, if they had Kane Hodder as Jason, and if it was directed by someone who
gave a damn,
either knew or respected. I mean, even if you don't have to get someone who like knows the franchise back to front, but get someone who's like, okay, well, I'm taking on this franchise. I want to learn everything about it. Someone who is actually invested in it and who wants to do it justice. That's what they should have done.
Yes.
The whole Jason side of this movie is what kind of brings it down for me. I think the Elm Street side of the movie is fine. It's entertaining enough for me. But it's the Jason side of the movie that I feel like it really suffers.
It does. There was no balance between the two, films. The Elm Street style and the Friday the 13th style. They leaned way too heavily into one, which was good, but at the same time, the other suffered. I mean, you really didn't get a Friday the 13th feel until they get to Crystal Lake. And I guess at the very beginning where, it shows Jason, but that wasn't even real. That was like a dream, so you don't really ever get the Friday the 13th feel in this movie, which is a shame because I'm sure there's a way to balance it. And there's no balance at all when it comes to this. And so I agree with you 100% on that. While I do like the Elm Street stuff, because this can almost work as a better sequel to 5 than any, Freddy's Dead or New Nightmare. It just I don't know. I just didn't like it. The actors just were the worst. Jason Ritter, I think that was his name.
Yeah,
awful. He's always looks like he's about to piss his pants. Like he always
yeah,
has that look on his face, like he either just sharded or pissed his pants. He's not a very good actor in that movie. I like what's her name with the big boob, Monica Keena. I actually like her. She's just not a good actress. She never really was. She was in some bad horror movies like Night of the Demons remake and Freddy versus Jason and a couple other ones, I'm sure. But yeah, there's not much to like about the characters in this movie. The fake Jay, like you said, um, it's just go ahead. Yeah, it looks like you got something.
no,
Okay, when you put your hand up like that, I've been watching you for 4 years. That usually
oh,
you got something in the barrel.
yeah,
But the thing when I talk about, okay, so Kane Hodder should have come back. We know that. Ken Kersinger, who doubled for Hodder and Jason Takes Manhattan, did play Jason, and he did a fine job based on what they wanted. But Jason was complete shit in this movie. He looked terrible. Suddenly he has a jacket.
yeah,
Uh, like his mask looks like a fucking croc, the shoe. There's like 1,000 things we can talk about how bad he looks like a grapefruit. His head looked like a grapefruit. It's one of the worst. It's not one of. It's the worst look for Jason of all time, in my opinion.
yeah. And like, I'm glad you said that about Kersinger because like I feel like a lot of people blame him, but like you
Mhm.
said, he was doing what he was instructed to do,
Yeah,
and, um, and that's just to be the
it,
sort of
it
lumbering Frankenstein monster.
it goes back to the guy they hired to replace Robert Englund in Elm Street 2. He just kind of lumbered around, and they were like,
Yeah,
"Oh, this guy sucks." Where Kane Hodder, who's not my favorite Jason either, C.J. Graham, but like Jason through his body language has a lot more personality. Kane Hodder brought that through. C.J. brought that through. Brooker brought it through, and of course, the late great Ted White brings that through.
that's right.
Yes, but you get nothing from Jason in this. You
Yeah,
know,
and I think that all comes down to I really don't think it has anything really to do with Kersinger and choices he made. It was Ronnie Yu.
oh yeah, I
It was
think I agree with that
100%
100%.
Ronnie
Yeah,
Yu instructed him to be that particular way. I mean, they even added the footsteps in post. But yeah, because like I feel like a lot of people blame Kersinger for this movie, for this Jason, and I don't think that's quite fair because he was just doing what he was instructed to do.
right. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's it sucks because Kurzinger has the size. You
Oh
know,
yeah, he'd be
he
a great
could,
Jason in the right context.
yeah. If and I'm sure he's a fine enough actor to do it, but I mean, this movie is going to fail in my opinion because first of all, you pissed off a lot of the fan base because they wanted to see Kane Hodder versus Robert England straight up, and we didn't get that. You cast a bunch of no-name people which is fine generally, but they all suck. I take it back. One of the characters was good, and it was I think his name was Mark, the redhead guy who's
Yeah,
he was the only like standout in that, and I liked his little side story with his brother in the bathtub and the nightmare. The nightmare sequence was decent in this movie.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, the characters are the worst in all 20 movies or whatever it is, just 12 plus, yeah, 20 movies and, or 21, something, anyway, something around those numbers. Uh, I hated, this was a movie, like a Friday the 13th movie, I've never really gone to any, theaters to see them when they came out, but people were like cheering when everybody would die or counting or whatever. I feel like that was their point for this. But Jason killed what, two people in this one? So it's like the movie's so fucking uneven. It's the worst of both franchises, in my opinion.
I think Jason got more kills than Freddy in this one.
Well, Freddy never gets many anyway, but
Yeah,
he stole one. Well, oh yeah, Jason in the cornfield. That was stupid. That was one of my least favorite scenes in the whole movie. Was the cornfield. Um, hey Jethro, fucking dude, I would have fucking lobbed that guy's head off right away too. Uh, no, no, I want to tear this movie a new asshole, but what's the point? It's just not a bad movie. The scenes with Freddy kind of being responsible for Jason drowning, were kind of like the way he was nailing she's dead on her feet. That was kind of funny, but the one sequence when it was all red and Freddy pops out of the water. There's a lot of cool like you said, some of the cinematography is really good in this, but just overall, it's a piece of shit in my opinion. And I know, like our followers here, I'll tell you right now, our followers fucking love this movie. 87%. Are you kidding me? This movie is complete dog shit. It doesn't deserve 87%. I mean, let me look here because I think it got a lot of rates too. What do you like? We're gonna get to our scores in a second because 13,000 people rated this movie, and 89. I mean, there was 9,000 of the 13 gave it 5 stars. Crackheads. I'm just saying they're a bunch of crackheads. I don't know, man. This movie doesn't hold up. I don't think it's any good. It's unfortunate this was Robert Englund's last big screen performance as Freddy. Forever.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't hate it like you do.
No, it's your number 3 Friday the 13th movie.
Listen, shut your whore mouth. Okay?
I'm
gonna change
it.
it.
Get banned from Facebook for saying that.
I know, right? Yeah, when I saw like how it part 2 is number 3 for me. I forgot what I was going to say now.
How about you don't hate it like me? You gave it a 65%.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I do have a sort of a nostalgia thing for it came out. I was working at a movie theater. Actually, I don't know. I probably told you this story before, but I thought my boss hated me, and I was always pestering him to get the promotional materials. And I go on vacation with a friend's family, and when I get back, he pulls me in the office, and he puts up this box, and he's like, "I've had this for a week, and I didn't want to open it until you were here." And it was the promotional material for Freddy vs. Jason, like a shirt, hat. We even had like these like fake like boxing pass things that were on like chains. And then he gave me a copy of each poster, the cool teaser poster and the.
You still have them?
I have the teaser poster. That's the one I actually really like, even though I think Freddy's glove is on the wrong side. It's that like
something they did a lot back then. So
yeah, it was like that, like like the background's all like gray and like it's like the almost like silhouette of Freddy and Jason each on one side.
Mm-hmm.
I really like.
It's like I remember that, and Freddy's glove was on the wrong hand. It's like, why not just put him on the other side and put Jason's machete in the left hand? Come on.
Yeah,
easy fix.
Well, they wanted it, to match the title. Freddy was, like
right. I get it. Yeah. Well, either way, Jason versus Freddy would have worked too. I guess Freddy versus Jason rolled off the tongue more.
Yeah, but and when it came out, I had fun with it. I loved it. I watched it many times in the theater. Watched it many times on DVD. And I mean, you're absolutely right that it has not aged well over the years. So it's not one that I've actually like really revisited lately. It's been a while, but
well, you remember I watched it a couple months ago, and I was like, "Oh, this is rough." It was hard sitting through.
Yeah,
I think out of the 20 some odd movies, or even going back to with the Halloween movies, we got 4 movies, something around those lines. It is the one that's aged the weakest of all of them. And we've got movies from the 70s in there, well, which is complete masterpiece in John Carpenter's Halloween. But you notice what I did for you? John Carpenter's
I
Halloween.
see that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Much
But
appreciated.
like we've got early '80s Friday the 13th, which honestly, the 1981 films, Halloween 2 and Friday Part 2, are two of the best in my opinion. So like I don't know what it is about these franchises. I mean, running out of ideas and stuff, but getting weaker and weaker and weaker to where they're just complete shit by the end. Like, I mean, Jason X is terrible. Freddy versus Jason, in my opinion, is terrible. Elm Street 5, Freddy's Dead, your least favorite, Jason Takes Manhattan, they're all just not good. Halloween, there's no end to the Halloween franchise, like no distinct end because it brings itself back to life because for some reason Michael Myers endures. He's been around for every decade, uh, whether it be the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and so there's no like, oh, there's no death of the Halloween series, which almost was Halloween 6,
Yeah.
but even still, that movie is better than this, in my opinion. Halloween 6 is far
Oh, for
better.
sure. Yeah.
Both
No,
kinds.
I love part 6 as well.
Dude, I adore that movie. I remember going to Horror Hound in 2016, and I was just kind of bumming around, and I found a one sheet of the poster for Halloween 6. I was like, oh my god, I have to have it. It was like $30. I was like, I can't not have it. And it's one of my favorites, but and it's not because I know it's not as good as some of the other ones, but
Right. Yeah.
there's good in there, and there's fun in there, and it takes me back to being 15 and seeing in the theater by myself. Uh, my mom's, I think I've told the story. My mom's buddy Joe ran the theater. It was one of those old little theaters with 3 screens. It used to be a actual like theater with a stage and everything. Anyway, the main theater had a balcony, and every time they get a new movie in, he's like, "Hey, you want to go watch From Dusk Till Dawn?" Yeah, he's like, "You can sit in the balcony all by yourself and eat as much popcorn and drink as much Coke as you want." I'm like, "Can I do some Coke too?" No. But yeah, so he like as soon as Halloween 6 came around, he knew I'd be like there. So as soon as they got the print for Halloween 6, he asked me if I wanted to go, and it was just me by myself. It wasn't me and him sitting there. It was just the whole theater to myself. I got to see like 5 or 6 movies, and the Batman Forever was another one.
Nice.
1995, it sounds like. But anyway, I hate this movie. At this point, I hate to say that because we got two huge like horror franchises in one movie, something we've always wanted, and it turned out to be a turd. Where you had give it a 65, I took a Jason's machete and cut that shit right in half and gave it a 31%. Fuck this movie. I'm so fucking disappointed in this movie. What did you say?
So wow, that is low.
Yeah, I don't understand people's love for Catherine Isabel. I never have. Um, this is the lowest rating of all of the series that we've gone through so far, and yes, it's even lower than what I gave the remake, which Seth and I, you'll see, we gave it a decent score. But this is a far cry from our community score, 87 to 31. I can't even. I don't know if I ever want to watch this movie again. Like I was gonna watch it leading up to the show, but I'm like, I've already got my score. I'm not watching this again. I can't sit through it. And it's part of that. Whatever. I just not a fan. Overall, it's a 48% for us, and that's not even the lowest of the Friday the 13th movies. It may be the lowest of the Elm Street movies, but not the Friday the 13th. We'll get to that next Wednesday. When you come back next Wednesday, when we do our ranking show, we will be ranking all 12 Friday the 13th movies, which includes Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, and Freddy vs. Jason, and of course the 2009 remake, which is better than you give it credit for. And then we will be doing the same thing an hour after we go live at 8, 9 Eastern. We will be doing the Elm Street film ranking show where we do every single Elm Street movie, including the remake, including the abomination that is Freddy versus Jason. Anyway, you know what I want to see? I want to see what the sequel to that would have been, because I remember one script says they both came to hell, and Pinhead was like, "Gentlemen, is there a problem?" Even though that doesn't make any fucking sense because there's no lament configuration. Okay, before we move on to the next thing, I want to know your thoughts on who won this battle, because they really pussed out on it, in my opinion. Where in AVP we got a clear cut winner.
Yeah.
I think we did. Anyway.
Yeah, no, they copped out at the end here. They didn't want to piss off either side of the fan base.
I know. Yes, Corey, thank you very much, man. Hang out next Wednesday. We're going to be two shows. We're going to stop one and then start a second one to do those rankings. And if you haven't, hang out with us on YouTube as well. Jason won. That's from Austin. But the thing. So I thought that too. Jason won. But like, Freddy winks, and plus Freddy, like, regardless if you kill him in the real world, obviously he can come back. You know,
Yeah.
like it's. So I don't know who won. I guess the fight on land for Jason won, and then if we would have gotten a sequel, maybe Freddy would have won. They should have filmed two movies back to back and just got with two different directors, because Ronnie sucks. He sucks at every horror movie he's ever done, and we'll get to that also at some point in the future, probably next year, because we got a full fucking lineup after the Elm Street. We're getting to 2010. After the Elm Street movies, we're diving head deep into Texas, the heart of Texas, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We'll be doing, I think, 5 shows. We'll do the first movie by itself, the second movie by itself, 3 and 4, the remake, the beginning, something along those lines. What?
Well, we might have extra room, right? Because we condensed these 3 movies together tonight. So
yeah, extra room for what?
On the schedule.
Oh yeah, we'll get to Child's Play at some point, but I feel like it's going to be next year, because we've got Phantasm to get to this year. We're going to do a deep dive into the Halloween franchise, and then what was after that? Because by the end of October,
Phantasm.
Was it Phantasm after that? So, and we'll do a movie. We'll do 5 episodes for Phantasm, 6 if you count the ranking show, because Phantasm deserves it. Phantasm's great. If you don't like Phantasm, I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know what to tell you. All right. So you say you think Jason won. Okay, everybody out there is watching right now. Please, who won, Freddy or Jason in Freddy versus Jason? I'm going to say Freddy won, because he played right into Jason's hands. If it wasn't for those pesky kids, it would have gone differently.
Well, I mean, technically, Laurie won the fight because she did the killing blow to Freddy.
I didn't know those were. That's interesting. We can do that for our show. That'd be interesting. I need to watch both of those. I've seen the Flags of Our Fathers or whatever. But yeah, I don't think I just don't think there's a clear cut winner in this movie at all. Even the audiences were losers. We lost. So yeah. So just to recap real fast, you people out there, gave this an 87%. Seth gives it a 65. I hate it. 31. Average score of 48. And that is a wrap on Freddy versus Jason forever on the Horror Syndicate channel. Forever. Next up on our Freddy 3-way is A Nightmare on Elm Street 2010. The most hated. Is this the most hated remake? I'm asking you who's watching us. Is this the most hated remake of all time? I'd put the question out there at the top of the show to our Facebook followers, and within 15 minutes, we had 85 comments. So let's take a look. Now we're at 146. Just a mere 44 minutes later. And the very first comment is from Reverend Jesus H. Booyah. He said everybody's gonna have their opinion. Mine is the god awful Friday the 13th '09 with the Rob Zombie Halloween a close second. Did not expect that from the Reverend. I don't even know who that is. But this person says, a Nightmare on Elm Street or Rob Zombie's Halloween or Child's Play, Day of the Dead, the one with the vegetarian zombie, or Wicker Man or Friday the 13th, although I think the hot cast is a redeeming factor, or Pet Cemetery.
I will.
The remake of Castle Freak? Me neither. That was from Keith Gordon. What?
Yeah.
Kevin Gordon.
I would say that both of the Day of the Dead remakes are way worse than A Nightmare on Elm Street. I would.
Oh yeah, no doubt. There's no.
I would watch Elm Street any day over those two pieces of shit.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think might be the most hated because I also think that it's the most widely available. Where the Day of the Dead ones, nobody talks about those. Nobody said. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've even used either one of those for the 5-star rating system yet. Maybe I should. At least the 06 one, 05 or 06 one with Ving Rhames. When I heard he was back, I was like, yeah, no. And he was playing Rose. I was like, cool. But yeah, most of these comments, you got Greg Jarvis on Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Emo Street. Elm Street. The teens had personalities like damp sponges. Amanda Martin on Nightmare on Elm Street. Dark Water, which is a foreign remake. Raymond Brown says, by people in general, I'd probably say a Nightmare on Elm Street, but me personally, Prom Night. I've never seen the Prom Night remake, and I really don't have the urgency to see it.
No.
But most of them, Cabin Fever remake, there you go. You and Quasi Wasim John can be buddies. But most of them, the Psycho, Nathan Thomas Milner, who's on the Horror Syndicate Discourse, says the Psycho remake is getting mentioned a lot, and it certainly was not popular. But if we're talking about hate, I'm not sure it is the focus of most anger when the remake topic is brought up. What? Nate? Psycho? Oh, he's talking about Psycho. Yeah, Psycho. It's just Psycho was the worst remake, period, in my opinion, because it's a shot for shot. It was a pointless remake.
It was a pointless remake, but it wasn't like it was like.
It's forgettable. People don't even talk about it.
Yeah, but it's not like it's like poorly made or anything.
No. I mean, Gus Van Sant made it, and he's for the most part a pretty decent director. And I got the score for that one just the other day. I wanted to look it up. We will be doing the Psycho series as well at some point.
Looking forward to that one.
Yes, Psycho 98, 44%. Not the worst, but most of these are really. Here, sorry. Let me get back. Daily, and I mean daily. The two topics I see every day in horror groups are Jackie Earl Haley as Freddy and Rob Zombie's Halloween sucks. I don't see people hung up on Psycho. But yeah, he's right, man. People, yeah, it's a really good point. Yeah, but most of these are. I mean, we've got a couple Cabin Fevers sprinkled in. We've got a couple of those Day of the Deads, but Halloween and A Nightmare on Elm Street seem to be the two that are most hated. I used to hate Halloween. Puberty with a passion. But I've started to warm up to it a little bit more, especially when you find your cut. Because we mentioned this last time, there are two cuts, and one's better than the other. And when you find the one that you prefer, yeah, I think you can like the movie a little bit better. The theatrical cut is the one I like. The Babadook. It's not a remake, but it's bad. Paul Signoria, if you haven't been with the Horror Syndicates from the beginning, I would ban you for that comment. But I'm going to give you a laugh emoji instead. But most of them are Nightmare on Elm Street. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, that is technically kind of a remake, but I don't know how the sequel to a remake situation works. But yeah, man, most of these comments are. I mean, Mary Early says, and her son is in this. Nightmare on Elm Street. Black Christmas now. 2019 Black Christmas, I think, could surpass this with views because that movie is gigantic turd. I actually just did that one too. the other night. I think it might be the lowest rated movie so far that we've done on our 5-star ratings. I think it was 30. There it is, 34%. Probably deserves a 0%. The Invasion, the remake of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers film, not the 1976 film. It's from 07.
No,
Yeah,
that's
most
not
of them
the Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig one.
Yes. Yeah.
You know,
That's
it's funny. It's I hated that when I first saw it in the theater,
Mhm.
but I got the DVD in like the cheap bin at Walmart because I'm a completionist and I love the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I have all the movies.
I do too. I don't have that one, but yeah, and the one from
Yeah,
the 90s.
and I gave it another shot and I liked it a lot better the next time around.
And I'm loving this. Nightmare remake was not bad. See, we're gonna get into it in just a minute. I just love seeing our comments. Hey, Alex, if you're watching, we've talked about this. If you want to be a part of the Horror Syndicate, because I know you want to, you have to reach out to me. You have to. I'm looking into your soul right now. Okay, if you want to be a part of the team, because I know you want to, hit me up.
All you gotta do is go onto your Kick-Ass account and put that you're on vacation. We'll find you.
We'll find you. Anyway, the Poltergeist. Well, the Fog is another bad one.
Ooh, Fog.
We need to do. We need to do this. I don't give a shit. So we'll be coming back with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But 2 episodes from now, we're doing our top 20 the worst remakes. We're gonna rank all the remakes we can figure out and figure out what is the worst to the best. You in?
I'm in.
I know you're in. Are you in? Urine's in the toilet. Let's do it.
How many do you want on this list?
I'm thinking 20.
Okay.
We'll talk off air. Black Christmas is fucking terrible. And then what we'll do is we'll do like we do with Silent Night, Deadly Night. We'll have our list, our top 10 or something like that, and then we'll do and I have the fan numbers to do it. You making notes over there?
Yes.
What is this, gym class? No, not gym class. This is high school. The prom night. So I'm gonna make so I had I did not want to do this. There's another person who is probably going to be part of the Horror Syndicate. We are recruiting people. If you want to be a part of the Horror Syndicate as a writer on the Horror Syndicate.com, thehorrorsyndicate.com, you got to message me, Ray Merrick, or facebook.com/@Razor33. Message me and let me know. We're looking for writers. We're looking for a few loose women. Not Seth, just me. So anyway, let's get in this. We got some fun episodes coming up. We got time now to fill in the void after doing 3 episodes in one. So actually, and we're doing 2 episodes in one night. So it's taking a lot of burden off of us. And if you're a Scream fan, which we know, our old friend V is a total Scream fan. We did do the Scream movie ranking show back in March. Was it? When did the movie come out? April, March?
March, I think.
Yeah. So that's on the. Just go subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's so much good shit on there. You're missing out. You're watching us on Facebook, cool. But you can go back and watch all this good shit on YouTube. And soon, very soon, we will be on Spotify. Not our pretty faces, because nobody needs to see that. Nobody needs to see that. All right, so let's talk about the most hated. I think it is the most hated horror movie remake of all time. It's not mine personally. I did not like it when I first saw it, but I never felt hate towards it. I didn't like the portrayal of Freddy. The cast didn't bother me as much as it bothered most people. And I remember going in thinking, because I didn't see it in the theater because I refused. Because I was being an asshole at the age of 30. I was like, fuck them. I don't want them to make another one. They're not going to get my $8, And this is also coming off the heels of just seeing the Halloween 2 Rob Zombie movie for the first time, which I hated at the time. Things have changed. But tell me, And this of course goes for anybody watching who also you haven't liked our post yet. I mean, like the video. Come on, share the video. Get more people to the Horror Syndicate. We need them. But we want to hear what you think overall of Elm Street, the remake, the 2010 film, what the problems were, what went right, what all that stuff. And that's what I'm asking Seth right now as I look into his eyes.
The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
The devil's eyes, the devil's anus.
No. Yeah, so I don't. This is not my least favorite remake. It's not one that I watch very often at all. But
Neither.
it's like I just don't hate it. I put this above Freddy's Dead and even possibly The Dream Child on my ranking list.
Yes.
Because I
Matt,
liked the Dark Freddy and I liked Jackie Earl Haley as Freddy. I didn't care for the makeup design of Freddy himself. I just didn't like the no nose thing, especially.
I didn't like the makeup at all. Any of it.
Yeah.
The no nose thing bothered me, but like he reminded me of Mason Verger from Hannibal. Gary
Yeah.
Oldman.
Yeah. And I like the score for it.
Score's not bad.
Yeah, the score's actually pretty good. I just the whole thing with Freddy, did he or did he not, do inappropriate things at the school? That was kind of like a useless plot point for the sake of drama. Because I mean, technically speaking, this didn't even have to be a remake. This could have just been, Freddy going after a new batch of kids. Because this is the Nancy in this is not Nancy Thompson. You know what I thought would have been cool? Because I actually kind of liked Katie Cassidy's character, and I know that she was being set up to be like the Tina of the movie. I thought it would have been cool if if they set that up, and so we're expecting that to happen.
Psycho in a way.
Yeah, but then do the opposite, do the Pet Cemetery effect, where instead Freddy kills the Nancy character. And then because I thought Katie Cassidy's character was probably
she got a lot more play than Tina did in the original movie.
Yeah,
Katie Cassidy, she had a lot more depth, and that's one of the other things about the characters in this movie. People were, they're emo, but they had a lot more depth. They all shared this childhood trauma together. There's a lot of, I think there's a lot of good here, and the reason I think that this is so hated though, is because how much people love the original movie and love Freddy and love Robert Englund, because we've seen it 1,000 times. Nobody ever can play Freddy, and but continue what you were saying as I make notes based on your answers.
Yeah, so I thought it would have been better if they did a switcheroo there, because I thought she was the character who was,
the old switcheroo. Go ahead, no.
The old switcheroo.
Yeah.
She was the more likable character. If I had to choose between.
Well, I love Katie Cassidy.
Yeah.
So watching her on Arrow and Supernatural was great.
Yeah, especially Supernatural season 3.
Ruby, right? She was the first Ruby. Yeah,
first Ruby. Yep. Yeah, and I didn't necessarily hate all the characters. There's that one guy. What's his name? He always looks like he's ready to cry. Kyle Gallner.
Yeah. He does.
But I mean, he's a decent actor, and I liked his character.
Speaking of, he played the Flash.
Yep, he did.
In Smallville.
Yep. It's funny that he was in this, but then he was also in what the hell was it?
Jennifer's Body.
Well, he was also in, he did this remake of a Wes Craven movie, but he was also in a sequel to a Wes Craven movie with Scream 5, and then
Oh yeah,
he was in Red Eye. He was in
Yeah.
an actual Wes Craven movie. It's kind of funny how
he
he
was
has
in something else recently as a cop, wasn't he?
Smile.
Smile, yeah.
Yep.
I actually like him. He's kind of become kind of a horror guy. I mean, he was a Haunting in Connecticut as well, which
Yep.
is not a good movie in my opinion, but
He was in season 4 of The Walking Dead.
was he?
Like the first episode, he dies pretty
I
fast.
didn't. That show is so not memorable in my opinion. It was good ride watching it, but yeah, I liked him too. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so there's things I like about this movie. Again, I don't really care for the whole mystery of if Freddy did it or not, because I think at that point I would have rather them just to shit or get off the pot, and if they wanted to try to do something different, just do something different. Make Freddy, make him be the victim of a bunch of children lying for this particular remake. It's got Clancy Brown in it, fantastic actor.
But I think he was wasted. Like
Totally wasted.
he was totally wasted. Clancy Brown's like. Let me know if you're out there watching. How great was Clancy Brown in Pet Cemetery 2? Stole the show. He stole the show, and he played Lex Luthor's voice in the Superman cartoon. We love comic book movies and comics in general. Just throw it out there if anybody didn't know. But yeah, no, I feel like he would have had a bigger role, more substantial role. It could have been really good. Also, Nancy's mom, like there's parts were so small, and these were good actors.
Oh yeah.
And it's a shame that they didn't explore them a little bit more, because Nancy's mom in the original film, Ronnie Blakely, had a pretty big role in the film, and so did her dad. And while if I remember correctly, Clancy Brown was Kyle Gallner's dad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even so, he could have played that Donald Thompson role a little bit more and gotten way more play, in my opinion. I think it would have been great. Let's talk about, if you don't mind, let's talk about Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy, other than the makeup. When I went in, I remember people saying, "Oh, the one-liners are gone," but they're not. First of all, those will never go away, because Freddy, almost off the top, has a one-liner. Why are you screaming? I haven't cut you yet, or some bullshit like that. Jackie Earle Haley is a great actor. 100% a great actor. We saw this in his portrayal as Kelly Leak in The Bad News Bears way back in the late 70s. But no, like, as soon as I saw The Watchmen and him as Rorschach, I had no doubt in my mind that he could play Freddy. Though my biggest problem with him and his portrayal, other than the makeup, of course, is his stature. We've talked about this, I know, at length about his stature. Robert Englund, Jackie Earle Haley is like 5'3". He's really short, 5'4". And I'm not knocking short people. I mean, Seth is 4'2". And, no, but I mean, I'm 5'8". You're what? It's cold out. I'm talking about his penis, actually. No, but what are you, 5'6"? I think you said
5'6". Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we're not tall guys. But Robert Englund as Freddy, and he's the benchmark no matter what. He's 5'11", 6 foot tall, lanky, and still somewhat imposing. Jackie Earle Haley, like when he fights the God, what's her name in the movie? Is it Jill? The Tina character? What's her name? Katie Cassidy's character. Like, she towers over him. She's like 5'9".
It's like Chris or something like that.
It's Chris, that's right, yeah. And it's like, why would you hire a guy, or if you do hire a guy like that, why not make him look taller? Because he's tiny, and it really, to me, it destroys any fear that you'd have for that guy. I mean, sure, Wolverine's 5'3" in the comics, but like still, like, he looked laughable, and the makeup didn't help. I will say I liked the glove. I thought the glove looked cool because it did change a little bit. He was good in RoboCop as well, the remake of RoboCop. Just throw that out there. Movie that never gets talked about, and it's actually really good. I think it is. No, 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 no. Fired. So what went right in this movie though? Let's talk about what went right.
Well,
You
first of
gotta
all,
get-
I just want to say like the whole height thing with Jackie Earl Haley, I didn't notice.
oh, you didn't? That was
I
like
did.
that was one of the first things I noticed. I was like, man, he looks tiny.
It didn't. I don't know. I had no opinion of that
Well, now you made
whatsoever.
me sound like a bigot.
Yeah, you're against
Yes,
short
I'm
us
against
short
short.
people.
I'm against short Freddies. No, like I don't know. It's something I noticed that even in the trailers, like, ooh, he looks so small, and like because I didn't notice it in Watchmen. You know, standing next to Doctor Manhattan and Night Owl, he just didn't look that small. I guess thinking of in superhero terms, you know, Doctor Manhattan's larger than life, and you know whatever. I don't want to get into that. I love that movie though, and the comic,
Yeah,
both one and the same. They're different, but anyway.
barely.
Well, I mean, you know,
There's like one major difference at
I
the end.
know it's the end of the movie, but everything else is goddamn perfect, and people bitch. Oh, it's not as good as a comic. Go read the comic then. Fuck off, fucker, fucking asshole, fuck.
It's the comic except for without the whole pirate bullshit. That was
Yeah, the Dawn Freighter or whatever. No, not
yeah
fucking
the Black Freighter or something
Black
like that.
Freighter. The Dawn Freighter's like Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe. Yeah, I did like honestly the first time I read The Watchmen, I skipped over that shit because it's pointless. You know,
Yeah.
it's like they could have put that, and eventually they did put it in its own book. It's like that's fucking pointless. You're reading a comic about a guy reading a comic, and you get to read what he's reading. That's stupid. I mean, Alan Moore, enough with the coke, okay? Anyway, well, the squid is the biggest change I think in that. RoboCop
Yeah.
good. Keaton stole the show as usual, as fucking usual. Yes, he did. Keaton's the best. Sorry, get a comment. Gotta try. You know what? So what did work though? Other than you loving his height,
What did work or didn't work?
did work. We
I
know what
think
did.
I mean I think I talked about everything I liked about the movie.
Yes,
Um,
but
oh,
like,
I did like and I know it's been pointed out to me before about that's of how they sort of accelerated it and how it doesn't quite work like this, but the whole micro naps thing I
yeah,
thought was a really cool idea put into it. I know it's not they obviously accelerated how fast that can happen and the effect of it. I've had people explain to me before that's not quite like that, but I love that concept to it because like I think my favorite scene in this movie is the scene where Nancy, not Thompson, is in the store, and it goes back and forth
oh
with
yeah,
the
yes.
micro naps, and I thought it was a cool visual scene.
Hmm.
Yes, and I also like the opening scene
I
too in
do
the
too.
diner. Yeah,
I love Kellen Lutz. He's kind of a beefcake kind of guy. I mean, he was from the Twilight movies or whatever, but like you know, he looks like a tough guy, and he's fucking terrified. You know, and he
yeah,
plays it really well. So I really do feel like the more people would see this, that the more they grow to it. I honestly think what worked for it were the nightmares were cool,
yep,
the deaths were really cool, and we got characters with depth, which I don't think we got until Dream Warriors. Really, I think well Jesse had some depth to him, but Nancy didn't have as much depth. Sure, she came from a family, a broken family or whatever, but you didn't really get to know these characters like you did in this one. You know, they had time to kind of flesh out some of these characters rather than killing Tina off in the first 15 minutes. Uh, that's one of the things I like. The things I don't like is the usage of CGI.
yeah,
I didn't like. There's a lot more CGI. Like we talked about that iconic scene from the first movie where he's going through the wall. It didn't look right in this one. It didn't work.
It looked like a cheaper version of a scene from The Frighteners.
Frighteners is an awesome movie. So,
I
but
love,
yeah, you're right.
I love Frighteners.
Yeah, I love the Frighteners.
That's
Yes,
not a
but
knock
you're right.
against it.
Well, I mean, you're talking shit, 14 years difference in CG because the Frighteners I think was 96, 97.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's the level of CG that was in this movie. Was some mid 90s CG. It's like Gate to the Mind's Eye stuff. But
and
yeah,
then
I mean,
the ending with the mom going through the mirror or whatever, like that was bad CG too.
that was terrible CG. I like that they tried to change it a little bit, making it different from the original movie. But yeah, I think a lot of the Nightmare stuff was really cool, and they handled. I do think they handled the characters better. But yeah, there's not many. I think I think in time, especially after we get another remake, this will either prosper from another remake without Robert Englund, or it'll be worse. One of the two. I think people need to take a clear, fresh look at this. By no means is this anywhere. It doesn't touch the original movie.
No, and it's not even one of the best in the series. I mean,
No.
it's not really like a fun movie to watch. It's kind of
dark and depressing and gross.
It's dark, depressing. It's bleak, and it's just like, I mean, yeah, the characters have some depth to them, but I don't know if you necessarily really care to follow them because they're just so. I don't know. They're part of this movie it's not really a pleasant movie.
No.
It doesn't have anything that it's got some cool stuff in it here and there.
Well, I mean, it's a horror movie. It's a dark, depressing type horror movie.
Yeah, but it's lacking something. It's like it kind of feels like it's like lacking a soul.
I could totally see that,
so to speak. I don't know. There's something about it that just it just feels kind of hollow. There's like good ideas and there's good things going for it here and there. It just wasn't properly executed, and it's not it's not one that you can just put in and rewatch.
No, I think I do once a year with this one.
Yeah.
If I'm lucky, I actually looked at because I keep track of all the horror movies I watch. Not every time I watch it, but if I watch a horror movie, I write it down on the list for the year. I watched it on this day, blah blah blah, and so I can keep track of the last time I watched this actually was 2021. So it's been a couple years since I watched this, but I've seen it enough to know that I don't hate it. I think it's better. I don't have it ranked higher, but I think it is better than Freddy's Dead. I think it's better than. I don't know if it's better than Dream Child though, but I do have those rated higher because I like those better. If that makes sense, it's better than fucking Freddy versus Jason. I'll tell you that much right now. Hot take. Is Michael Keaton the only actor that can stand toe-to-toe with Jack Nicholson? That's a good question. He does. They even dance with the devil in pale moonlight.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. I don't know. That's a question that we should pose to Nathan Thomas Milner. I think he'd have a better answer. Because I'm drawing blanks on all actors right now. I don't know any actors right at this moment. Anyway, you want to show off our rankings for this one or ratings for this one?
Yeah. I forgot what I gave it.
I was surprised, actually. You are just so generous these days. You were
I'm a generous guy,
Yeah, I've heard. Amber told me you're a generous lover, too. I never talked to her about that. I was joking. You give it a 61%.
So yeah, because I don't hate it like a lot of people do. I have problems with some of the characters, but and I do feel like again it is missing something, but it's not one that I hate. would watch this over the Fog remake. I would watch this over the Cabin Fever remake.
Yeah,
And
I need to watch that one.
talk about that's a pointless remake. It has a good score. That's about it. But yeah, this one I thought it's okay. I would I put this higher than Freddy's Dead for sure. Maybe I put it above Dream Child. I can't remember if I did. I've been kind of back and forth because I'm a little generous to Dream Child as well.
We'll see next week, won't we?
We will find out next Wednesday.
Yes.
See you next Wednesday.
See you next Wednesday. Yeah, when we do our rating show. I praised this movie a little bit more than I probably should, but I did go way lower on this one. It's a 43 for me. It's still, like you said, there's something lacking, there's something missing. It is a Nightmare on Elm Street, which does have a soul. This one does come off soulless, like you were saying. So I agree with that. But I do like things about this, and honestly, I think in a year that my score might change for this movie, because I don't hate it. I've never hated it. I've never been one of those people like, oh, fuck that movie, because it's not that bad. I honestly think the biggest problem that people have is Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy. Maybe people have problems with the pedophilia thing, and I can see that. I understand that. But Jackie Earle Haley is not the problem with this movie overall. I know I said his stature's bad and his makeup's bad, but he's not the one who filmed the movie. He's not the one who made the makeup decisions or even put him on his face. They could have force perspected him to be bigger than everybody else if they really wanted to. He's a lovely actor, and I would like to see him give it another go as Freddy. Honestly, I'm probably the only one in that respect. But let us know in the comments if you'd feel that way. If you'd like to see Jackie Earle Haley portray Freddy one more time. I'd like to see a remake of the second movie, but like really lean hard into the gay stuff that was only kind of like hinted around in the original attempt. Mark Patton could come back. I'd love to see Mark Patton come back to the series. A burning fart in someone's flaming shit bag on someone's porch. Okay. Yeah, Jackie. He's a good actor overall, Jackie Earle Haley. But yeah, our total 53%. And I will tell you that I have our Friday the 13th rankings here right now. That is higher than the first Friday the 13th movie. That is higher than Freddy versus Jason. That is a higher score, Seth, than Jason Takes Manhattan. Not to mention Jason X. Higher score than all those. And and A New Beginning. It's higher than that as well. What are we doing with our lives, Jay? Like, come on.
I don't understand New Beginning, but it is my fault that Friday 13th Part 1 is lower than this.
It is. You gave it a 42%. I gave it a 58, though. So to be fair, although if you would have given it just a 50%, it still would have only gone up to 54%.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's not that I even hate that movie. It's just I don't think highly of it.
I think, and I want to know what you guys think, because when we started doing this, it was 2022 still. It was, I think it might have been November when we started doing the Friday the 13th movies. And then we took a big break because Scream came out. We covered all the Scream movies. We did the Silent Night, Deadly Night movies. We did a bunch of stuff between Friday the 13th. And then when we got to this point and doing the Elm Street films and even the Scream films, I think we started grading on a different curve. I think I said it to you last night. I think we need to go back and look at our scores from Friday the 13th and assess them based on our scores from the Elm Street movies. I do think overall the Elm Street series is a better series. But I'm looking at scores like Jason Lives versus a movie like Dream Master. Dream Master obviously is one of our favorites. I gave that like a 92%. Fucking Jason Lives is our highest rated Friday the 13th movie. at 82%. I gave it a 76%, Seth. I'm not happy with myself. It deserves better.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wanted to take a look at the my list too because when you sent me what the rankings would be, I'm like, I was like, I demand a recount. And you're like, those are
Yeah,
your scores. I'm like,
I demand a
motherfucker.
recount too, son of a bitch, because I'm looking at yours. You've got Freddy versus Jason at 4. You know, the 2009, which isn't bad, at 3. But what both of us were like, what happened to part 2? Part 2 belongs in the. And
No.
I think the definitive Friday the 13th ranking system, you'd have 4, 6, and 2 as the even movies. You'd 4, 6, and 2 as the 3 best Friday the 13th movies. Period.
Hands
I don't
down.
think there's any question that those 3 are the best. I mean, 2 is really where the series caught fire. You know, 4 is arguably the scariest of all the Friday the 13th movies, with the scariest Jason and Ted White. And then 6, you've got it's like it's an all encompassing movie. There's great comedy. There's a kind of a fun love story. You got a good car chase. It's a little bit of everything,
It's
you
just
know.
a
And
fun
it's
movie.
it's it's just a fun movie. Yeah, it's at the middle of the 80s when things started turning a little bit, you know. So those 3 movies are the best Friday the 13th movies. You can give respect to the original movie for sure. You can throw in a movie like 5 that's becoming more and more respected over the years. Stop me if I'm wrong when I say this, but I think 5 deserves to be a top 5 movie in the Friday the 13th series. They diverted from what everybody else was doing. You know, I mean, not everybody else, what everybody else had done before them. We got a who done it akin to the original movie, you know, and we got some fun characters, you know. Junior and Ethel come straight to mind, which those are a point where people bitch about Junior and Ethel. I love them.
I think 5 is a really fun movie because of Junior and Ethel, but
Hmm.
I also love like how badass Tommy is.
Yeah,
Like
flipping dudes on tables and shit.
he's fucking fast
Yeah,
and
he
it's
is.
great. And then like
I don't give
I
John
just
Shepard a ton of credit.
yeah, and I love the idea that it does go back to the first film thematically with a vengeful parent, but this time he takes the disguise of Jason to get his revenge on all the
Mhm.
kids not responsible for his son's death.
I also think we need to leave this Friday the 13th Part 3 is one of the best behind, because it's not. I think it's very weak. It's the weak, in my opinion, it's the weakest of the first 4 movies in many ways, and I think people hang on to that. It's one of the best because of Jason getting his mask. Who fucking cares? Who cares?
I
It's
like
not
3.
very good. I know you do, but like, I mean, it's number 9 on your list.
Yeah, and I like it.
Well, to be fair, I like all of these movies.
Well,
You know, like I'm just saying.
I'm trying to think what I had before it.
Well, I mean, really, your list. Here's the problem with your list, Seth, and it's not really a problem. It's just this shows how, like, how what's the word?
Well, wait, is that the list according to the scores? Because if so, then it's
This is
bullshit.
your scores. These are yours. Yeah, the
Okay.
list according to your scores. Because the problem, then again, not a problem. It just shows how even keel you are on some of the Friday the 13th movies. Part 3 is 59%, 7 60%, Jason Goes to Hell 60%, Part 5 60%, Part 2 61%. You know, like that's all with it. They're all basically the same number. You know, I mean, you can throw one of them at the wall and see which one sticks that day, based on your percentages. And I know this isn't how you actually feel. And so I actually, before the episode next week, I need to get your actual rankings, because I'm going to put them up against your score rankings and then have your actual rankings. Same with mine.
I'll send you a copy.
I need to start getting some like gifts or something pop in there.
Yeah.
Bam, bitch went down. Um, yeah, because mine isn't far off from where I think things are. My only issues, I like Part 5 more than the original movie, and Part 7 which is my number 5, would be below part 5. It's just.
Well,
But I do my top 3 are right because I've got 3 is number 2, 2 number 4, 1 number 6. So
yeah, I think the issue with because we started with Friday 13th, right? And I
yeah,
remember that I gave you my scores for like the first 2 or the first one, no, the first 2 or 3, and you were like, and they were very high.
this son of a bitch, Team Seth.
That's right, the winning team. Um, but because like I was very very generous when we first
No,
started,
you're right. I remember that. I
and
remember that.
you sent me a message. You're like, listen, dude, just think of it like you're stacking these up against American Werewolf in London. And I was like, okay. So then when I went to go redo the scores, and maybe I just went too far in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is American Werewolf in London, that is your favorite horror film? Is that 100%?
It's in the 90s. It's not because it's not a perfect movie by any means.
Pretty close.
Very close. Just a couple issues with dialogue. That's about it. So it would be like the maybe mid to high 90s, but it wouldn't be 100%.
It's I can't wait because with the rankings, we will do a top 20 werewolf movie show at some point because I know you love werewolves and stuff, and with all the
Yes.
follower ratings and stuff like that, we've got plenty of stuff coming up. But I think yeah, it's without a doubt the number 1 werewolf movie. Where I think The Howling is probably number 2,
Yeah.
maybe number 3. It just depends. But I just want to make sure everybody knows this. I am dumb, and
An asshole.
so I think we should fix the Friday the 13th scores. What do you think? Let us know in the comments if you care.
What's
Um,
with the I am dumb thing?
because I'm dumb because I fucked up the scores. I made the scores lower than they should be. What's your favorite remake of a horror movie? The Thing? Dawn of the Dead? Probably Dawn of the Dead for me.
Ooh. Well,
See,
The Thing?
even Austin says fix them. Let's do it. Let's fix them.
we'll fix them for
Nobody
you.
remembers
Austin.
the scores anyway from the Friday the 13th movies.
I would say one of my I have a couple favorite remakes of horror. The Thing is up there. David Cronenberg's The Fly,
Oh yeah,
and
Invasion.
Philip Kaufman's Invasion of the Body
Yep.
Snatchers from '78. It's a fantastic movie.
Oh, I know what we're doing. Evil Dead is not a remake. It's not a remake. I love it, but it's not a remake. Evil Dead Rise teaches us that. And so do I in an article on the horrorsyndicate.com. Go check it out. Yeah, there's a lot of great remakes, and the 80s was a great decade for remakes too. With The Fly, with John Carpenter's The Thing, and not to mention '78, like you said, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Chef's Kiss. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Good catch. Well, dude, I've been screaming this for 10 years that Evil Dead 2013 is not a remake.
I used to like to fuck with people online by saying that Evil Dead 2 is a remake because like the first
Well,
5
you know what's funny about that? Before the internet, before all this stuff, but like most people thought that I knew thought that Evil Dead 2 was like, oh, they just remade it because the first one just wasn't well made, blah blah blah. I was like, I don't think that's what it is. And then of course we find out later. Thanks. I guess I should just go fuck off and die.
Well, I mean, he says he loves you, so this is the Seth show.
Yeah, so I was told once that we need to find a better host, so maybe we do. There's no hashtag Team Ray, Zor. That's fine. I created the Horror Syndicate. I'm just saying. No credit. Okay. Anyway, so I think what we'll do next week, or not next week, but the week after when we do the remakes, I think we're gonna do the 20 worst and count down to the worst rated remake based on what we think is the worst, like our scores. We're gonna do our same rating system that we do. We'll have the audience scores as well. We're both gonna try to see Prom Night because that's got to be on there apparently. Let me see if it's available streaming somewhere. I bought it for like $3 online.
Well, here's the deal. Like, one movie is not going to make my list, and it's
Oh,
because
Hulu. It's on Hulu.
I refuse to watch Black Christmas 2019. So it's not going to be on my list just because I'm not going to watch it.
It'll be on my list for sure. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's good. It's got a 9%. Prom Night 2008 has a 9%. We don't. Idris Elba's in it. Holy shit. Oh man, I might have to. We need to get a review on the website today. Um, it just baffles me that we went from Evil Dead to Army of Darkness. What do you guys think between the two? The first Evil Dead and Army of Darkness. We are going to do an Evil Dead ranking show at some point, hopefully this year, because this year just was awesome for Evil Dead so far. I think Army of Darkness is a fun movie. I think it's the worst of all 5 movies, but but it's not a bad movie at all. It's a great movie, but one has to be at the bottom, just like the Phantasm. Well, I mean, Ravager obviously is obvious, but I think. Dude, I didn't say Black Christmas 2019 was good. It's awful. It's a piece of shit. It's terrible. It's men hate. It's a man hating movie. It's Ron DeSantis would just hate it. If anybody understands that, let me know. Black Christmas just is going to go to Florida because that's where Black Christmas 2019 goes to die. No, but I think my favorite Evil Dead movie is 2013's. I love it. And then, 2's good. The Evil Dead. I think the first movie, Seth, and I think this might be a weird thing to say. I think it's underrated because I don't think that people give it as much credit because most people say Evil Dead 2 is their favorite or it's the best or whatever. Man, Evil Dead 1 is some fucking awesome filmmaking from just a bunch of fucking people that are learning how to make a film. And you know what I'm saying? It's a great movie, and there's some great horror scenes in there. Cheryl has got to be one of the best horror villains ever. Oh, Seth, are you having a moment?
Am I coming through fine?
There, you're back. You froze for a minute. It's not like the Karate Chop.
I'm back. Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing with the Evil, I mean, we talked about this when we covered Evil Dead Rises. There's no bad Evil Dead movie.
No.
They're all fun. When I walked out of Rise, I was super stoked to dig back in the series to the point where I watched all the movies and then I watched seasons 2 and 3 of the show because I saw the first season a lot. And seasons 2 and 3 I only seen the once, but I fucking love it. Love Evil Dead.
Yeah, I do too. There is not a weak link, and anybody can say Evil Dead Rise is number 5 or Evil Dead 2 is number 5. Your list is yours, but we will remember that there is not a weak link in the series. So it's one of those rare horror series that doesn't have a bad movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, Evil Dead, we'll be doing those movies. I kind of want to wait a spell on Evil Dead before we start doing those because I mean, I know the writer strike's happening right now, and then I guess an actor strike's coming too, but I have a feeling we're going to get another Evil Dead movie within the next 18 months. Which, by the way, brilliant move by making it theatrical. I saw it 3 times in the theater, so bravo. I would have watched a lot more if it was on online, though. see, I wonder how old you are, because a lot of people that are probably mid to late 80s, early 90s kids say Evil Dead was the one that got them into horror. And that, you know what, that's a great movie to get into horror. For me, it was Elm Street 2, but Elm Street 1 came on right after that. All right, so Seth, next week we are doing our Friday the 13th ranking show at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we're going to Camp Blood. So
Go to Camp Blood, ain't you? You'll never come back again. It's got a death curse.
All right. So we'll be doing that, and then after that show, almost immediately, we'll take a little break in between shows. But stick around. Subscribe to the Horror Syndicate on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, because we are going to be doing a 2-episode night, and we'll be ranking the Elm Street films right after we rank all of the Friday the 13th films. It's going to be a fun night. It's going to be a long night. Might need to eat some more of my sun chips, my garden salsa sun chips.
Won't be as long as our big three ranking.
Do what?
So it won't be as long as our big three.
No,
ranking.
that was at 3.5 hours. But anybody who is wondering what's up after that, we decided to do a show on the worst remakes of all time, horror remakes of all time. We're going to be doing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre as a series after that, and then I think we roll right into the Halloween films. And then we're going to be ranking all this big series until we're done with that. Even The Howling, it might not be a big series, but it's got like 7 movies. But hey, thanks, man. Oh, 40, you're about our age. Okay. So yeah. Yes, thanks for make sure you like the page if you haven't. Check us out on YouTube, all of our other shows. We have a show coming up on Sunday night called the Horror Syndicate Discourse. It's our main show with Nathan Thomas Milliner, who's done art for NECA or NECA, if you will. Scream Factory Blu-ray covers, all kinds of stuff. He's made a few movies, Volumes of Blood 2, one that hasn't come out yet that we're really looking forward to, On a Dark and Bloody Ground. And then we got Jared Letourneau, who is an OG Horror Syndicate member from 2016 when we started the Horror Syndicate way back when I was 36 and 36 pounds lighter. Go figure, in the penis. By the way, I'll show you this.
To show you.
Hell yeah.
So I added the subscribe flashy thing. That is not Wednesday anymore. Our Sunday night show. We'll be doing that at 8 p.m. Eastern. No, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern every Sunday moving forward. And then, of course, this has been a Horror Syndicate movie. No, what is it fucking called? A Horror Movie Massacre. Jesus. Horror Movie I should have been asleep. Yeah.
Jesus has nothing to do with this place.
No, he doesn't. And as a matter of fact, you know what? Jesus wept. That's another series we'll be doing very soon, is Hellraiser. 2023, we're getting through the main 3 for sure and a few others. 2024, we're going to delve into Hellraiser and it's some of these other series that nobody fucking talks about, which I'm looking forward to. And Child's Play will be in there as well. Way back when you were 36 Hey, I'm 43 now, so I'm older than you. I'm older than you, boy. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. Make sure you like the page, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well, because if you hit the like button, for some reason, more people see it. Algorithm. Seth, any last words on these three movies?
No, I said my piece on them. Yeah.
Dude,
So-
come on. No, you don't have anything to say? What
Well,
are you?
I mean, I'm an asshole.
What?
An asshole.
An asshole.
Yeah, there we go. I need to get more of those. Okay, yeah. I think my favorite of these three is probably New Nightmare. I think Freddy versus Jason, yeah, is way overrated. And I think people need to give the 2010 movie a better fair shot. Here we are 13 years later, and it gets a lot of the hate it just really doesn't deserve. So for Seth, I am Ray Zor. Hit us up, watch our shows. We got more coming to you. This has been the last THS Up All Night with this intro. How many of you like subspecies? Because I've been really chomping at the bit, and I know this fucking guy here has been too, to do some subspecies content. I forgot that Radu is in the beginning of the fucking thing. I saw him. I was like, we need to do a subspecies arc or whatever, because subspecies movies are fucking awesome. And I know I just ended the show. What's that?
And there's a new one coming out.
And there's a new one coming out. So after that one comes out, I think we're going to do a subspecies. Just go through all 5-6 movies, because we got the Vampire Journals as well. And then we'll do a ranking show of that. Maybe by the end of 2023, we'll end with the subspecies movies. What do you think, Seth?
I love it. I'm down.
I love it too. Everybody have a great night. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next Wednesday for the ranking show. I want to say ratings, but ranking show. Have a great one. Watch some motherfucking horror. Bye.